You know, one of my favorite hobbies as I search on the web and looking for stories and news articles to talk about is finding people getting exactly what they asked for and then them getting mad about it. If you remember, women were screaming, and mostly leftists, but surprising number of women were screaming that cops need to wear body cams because they're all predators, they're all bad guys, and of course, all cops are bastards, at least according to them. Well, women specifically pushed very hard for body cameras, and cops now, mostly throughout the country, are wearing body cameras. And now the women are mad because guys are making money off of them being idiots on camera. This comes from The Intelligencer. The body cam hustle, how YouTubers, men, the majority of them, weaponized freedom of information laws to embarrass young women for clicks. Now, there's another way you could look at this, and because now you're A, blaming YouTubers, B, blaming the Freedom of Information Act in the United States, and C, you're blaming the guys that are watching this content. But I notice you're not blaming the women acting completely ridiculous on camera, and maybe we should have a word with those women. Maybe it's time to counsel women on not being so crazy. But no, we could never do that because, well, that makes women be held accountable. Anyway, the beginning of this, they're talking about some woman named April. And but it says the worst 40 minutes of April's life are a hit on YouTube. The lengthy, humiliating clip has 195,000 views and thousands of comments, all insults and jokes at April's expense. It includes her full name, unobscured face, and a clear voice. And anyway, she can't bring herself to watch the video. Now, how could they dox her, you might be asking yourself? Well, A, she was arrested for, I guess it was drinking and driving or something like that. Because of the Freedom of Information Act, when you're arrested, you can put out the information because you've been arrested and it's an arrest report. So basically you doxed yourself by being arrested. Anyway, they go on this whole diatribe of her and her story about her being completely tweaked out and she hit a crashed car. Basically, it was a bad time for April. But here's what's interesting about this. Listen to their commentary on it, and then we'll get to the main point here. The video continues to rack up views and snide comments. Here's what's so funny about this and actually makes it amusing. As of now, there are several YouTube channels out there where guys will pick up the phone, they'll scour the internet, they'll look for stories, they maybe get a video clip or something, and they say, you know something, that's funny. I bet there's a lot more to this that I can use. They pick up the phone, they call or submit a Freedom of Information Act, and they're allowed to get the body cam footage, the name, the arrest report, everything, because they're like a reporter. They're just getting this information. Now, what's funny is those guys are taking it, they're putting it on the internet, and they're making a living off of showing women doing incredibly crazy things. Now, it's not the first time this has ever happened. If you ever watch the TV show Cops or other ones like it, they would show criminals doing bad things and they'd show their face and, they didn't have to sign any disclosure agreements or anything like that. And the guys' videos would be put out there and it would make millions for the TV companies. But when young guys are doing it on their own, kind of the same thing, except they're showing women behaving badly, well, now the women are really angry about it. And all of a sudden we have a body cam problem in the United States, even though women were overwhelmingly the ones that wanted this to go through. Before we get into today's main topic, let me tell you about Venice AI. As you guys know, when I do a lot of my stories or I'm looking for research, I use Grok, and I've used Grok for the last year and a half. But it does sometimes censor some of the answers, and you certainly can't ask for video or images that get a little too spicy. Well, Venice AI is the resolution for that because it is private, it is anonymized, and it gives you uncensored, unfiltered information. We tell these platforms our thoughts, our business ideas, maybe ask financial questions. We give them health information, and a lot of that stuff is sensitive. Then they take all this information, they tie it to your identity forever, and then sell it to various third parties, for extra revenue and for advertising. And of course, they're going to give it away to governments if they ask. Venice.ai is the alternative, a truly private AI. By sending your queries through a proxy server, much like a VPN, your data is encrypted going to and from the AI servers, with the only data persisting in your browser. By clearing your browser cache or history, you wipe out everything you've ever sent, asked, made, or imagined with one click, and they have no idea who you are. That is true privacy. If you look, I've got a couple of links here from these stories. Gemini, for example, rolling out personal intelligence, a beta that uses Gmail and your Google Apps for data. They're also now Gemini's accessing your photos. From TechCrunch, access to future AI models and OpenAI's API may require a verified ID. And now Meta to mine AI interactions to help target advertising, which means they're going to listen to what you're saying and give you advertising based on what you've asked. Sam Altman even says we've greatly improved memory in ChatGPT. It can now reference all your past conversations. They act like this is a good thing, but in the meantime, they're basically spying on you, or they're going to subsidize the cost of AI by selling you advertisements based on what you've asked. And when it comes to censorship, here's the different models. Grok, 26% of the time, has censorship. Claude Sonnet, 71%. ChatGPT, 64%. Gemini, 53%. Well, this is where Venice AI comes in. Whether you ask them a question like I did, do black people commit crime at a higher rate than other races, which we know is true, it just says yes, and they explain why and how. They don't give you any of the prerequisites or any of the stupid stuff you don't want to hear. They just give you an answer. You can go down to the bottom of the screen and select which engine you want to use. I can use Grok if I want to. I can use ChatGPT. I can use any of them. But what they do is they make my queries anonymized. They're not private in this case because they are asking one of the large language models, but they are anonymized. But they also have selections like Venice, uncensored, Venice medium. You'll see there's a little private tag, and it says this model's private. No prompt data is stored in any capacity. The only thing that you have is what's stored on your computer. They do the same thing for images. They have Image Turbo, which is private. They have Lustify, which I probably don't need to explain very much further for you. They have Quen. They have Anime, which is uncensored anime. I know some of you weebs are into that stuff. They even have the same thing for video. So you can get truly uncensored, unfiltered, honest AI. They'll give you the data. They'll give you the spicy photos, which obviously, this is one I generated just to see if it worked. I can't show it to you. And it's all private and it's all anonymous. That's the real key. So if you're ready for truly uncensored private AI, go to venice.ai/bachelor and use code BACHELOR to enjoy private, uncensored AI and get a 20% off a pro plan. If you've seen the prices of ChatGPT, if you've seen the prices of Grok, go check out Venice AI. I think you will be blown away at the amount of power you can get for just a couple of bucks a month, and you can get 20% off using my promo. And now back to our regularly scheduled program, me. They say what April's been through is a nightmare. Well, maybe don't get arrested. That would help you out a lot. She's one of the lucky ones. Her video only has a couple 100,000 views, not 3.3 million, like the girl in Washington who was arrested after drunkenly falling asleep at a Taco Bell drive-thru. She only offers small talk, not futile attempts at seduction, like the young woman in New Jersey who became an online celebrity for flirting through an arrest. And she only experiences a talking to before she's handcuffed, not the 15-minute embarrassment of a failed sobriety test like most drunk drivers online. The unlucky ones have been watched and mocked millions of times. They've been ogled, insulted, and abused. They're mostly women, mostly between 18 and 25, and mostly powerless to stop their online humiliations. So far, YouTube channels featuring such videos have generated over 1 billion views and counting. Let me just say this first. Number one, I'm doing the wrong type of content. From now on, Better Bachelor will just be body cameras of pretty, scantily dressed women doing really stupid things, getting caught on camera and getting arrested. Why is this all of a sudden a problem? Why is this coming out now? Why is this article being released in the year of our Lord 2026? I'll tell you why. Because the number of women that have become publicly intoxicated, scantily dressed, problematic and fighting with cops, and doing very bad things has skyrocketed. We know this. Women are acting horribly. Number two, yes, people like to watch them do incredibly crazy things. But so what if they're being looked at? So what if they're being insulted? So what if they're being mocked? They're certainly not being abused because they're in a video. They're trying to protect the bad women because they're being made fun of by guys on the internet. Now, a great way to stop this would be maybe telling women not to knock it off and not be such terrible, insufferable people. But they can't do that. They must protect the women. And now they blame men for getting a kick out of watching scantily clad women behaving badly on camera. If you haven't lived in the 90s, Girls Gone Wild, They covered that. This is kind of the same thing, except with cops and a lot less boobs. They continue on. It's an industry that couldn't exist without the widespread adoption of body cameras by police departments across the country. President Obama directed the Department of Justice to provide grants to municipalities to acquire cameras. So instead of blaming us men for enjoying watching these women be problematic on camera, maybe you should blame President Obama. Blame Obama for it. I mean, that's as much to blame as anybody else. Today, around 80% of large departments are equipped with cameras. Yes, this is what you wanted. You wanted the police to be held accountable for their actions. And the cops said, okay, we have no problems with that. And what's happened since they've gotten these cameras? We see women acting crazy. We see, ironically, a lot of the minority communities that were supposedly being harmed and cops were the bad guys. Turns out we have a lot of video cameras of minorities in very bad neighborhoods doing terrible, crazy things, and people saying, oh, well, I can see why these body cameras was a good thing. It lets the cops off the hook more than anything. And this is the same thing. If a man is going to arrest a woman, I think it's a good idea he has a body camera. I mean, I think it's a good idea in general. I have no problems with it. But more specifically, if a guy's going to arrest a woman, he should be wearing a body camera, not to protect the woman so much as to protect the cop from false accusations. So until you can make that not a thing, which we know is going to happen, this is great. The only way you're going to stop these women being recorded and being put up to the internet and showing that they're acting the fool is, wait for it, teach women to behave better. Teach them to stop behaving badly. They continue on. Footage from cameras is only useful if it's made available to the public and the press. Transparency is contingent on access. Blue states are more likely than red states to mandate cameras and far more likely to make recordings public. Right. Now, why are blue states more likely to make the recordings public and make easier access for the public to see them? Because they thought in their minds, we don't want the police hiding any of these video camera footage. We want it publicly accessible so that way we can hold police to account. But what they're finding out is the police are fine being held to account, and it makes it real easy to get a bunch of these liberal women in blue states on camera acting ridiculous and then be posting it to the internet, where my brethren out there are probably making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on women behaving badly. I'm here for it. I think it's great. And once again, they're complaining because what they asked for is being used, but it's being used in a way that makes women look bad. And that's really the problem. Because if you told them, yes, but what about all the police and what about the people they're arresting? Don't you want that to be public? They say yes, but only in certain cases. We don't want it all cases because who cares about these little incidents of DUI or other things like that? Well, apparently the internet does, and we get a big kick out of watching these women go crazy, and it's making guys out there hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. So what's the problem? It's because it makes women look bad, and they can't stand it. It hurts the agenda. They say for the first few years of camera use, footage requests came generally from defendants, attorneys, and journalists. Hey, this YouTuber that is doing this, he's a journalist. He does nothing different than you do, except he puts it in a different light and a different narrative story. He's a journalist, no different than you mouth breathers out there. So deal with it. Lawyers wanted evidence. Reporters wanted to see what happened. Okay, see, that makes him a reporter because he's showing us what happened. But soon a different genre of requests began to trickle in. YouTubers and TikTokers with viral policing accounts started to request footage for their channels. They wanted lively, contentious arrests, underage drinking, crimes committed on nights out. They wanted college towns, girls dressed for clubbing, thumbnails sure to win a click. Yes, and good on them. There are now more than 150 YouTube channels devoted to the unredacted arrests of everyday people. The most popular uploads are the ones that are most salacious and humiliating. When suspects try to flirt with cops, boasts 7.9 million views. Hooters waitress tells cop I can take it all off, claims 2.4 million. And body cam dancer tries to seduce cop, throws drunk tantrum, and pees herself in squad car, has been viewed 3.4 million times. Yes, how is what you do any different, Intelligencer or any of these other news agencies? You put a clickbaity headline up there. We all do anymore because it's getting very tricky to get traffic to your channel. So you put a clickbait thing out there and then you put the video out there. The most you could blame him for, or these content creators for, is the headline maybe, because if they're showing the video, in some cases 35 minutes of video, and people keep coming back to watch more of it, he's not lying about what happened on the video. People enjoy the content and making fun of these women. So what are you going to do? Suffer. All you're doing is complaining. You're not going to make any movement to protect women, because what'll happen is then if it's not allowed that a woman's on camera and you have to jump through all these hoops, pretty soon people are going to start saying that cops are doing the bad things again, or are not, or taking advantage of women. And then people are going to say, hey, we want that information available. Notice again, it's mostly in the blue states because they've made this so available, thinking it was the cops that were the bad guys, and it's actually the women they're arresting. They continue on. The way it tends to go, Andrew Caggiano, president of the New Jersey State Association of Chief of Police, tells me, is that first someone files an Open Public Records Act request for every DUI in his township. Then they filter the list to exclude male names. And finally, they request arrest footage for the arrest. In a few months' time, the videos pop up, young women slurring their words, stumbling around during their arrests. Caggiano is fairly sickened by the whole thing. If one of my daughters made the mistake and got arrested, she goes to court, she takes responsibility and pays her price. That should be it. Not this gets blasted all over the internet. You're seeing people at their worst time. Why should that follow them for the rest of their lives? Basically, for any reason a man goes viral, nobody has problems with that. Only now, because the women are being selected specifically because they make great viral videos. Only now you have a problem with it. But you didn't have any problems when thieves, all these thugs are out there robbing people and hurting people. You wanted that released. Well, couldn't we say the same thing? That was just them. That was just these poor, innocent inner city youths that were caught during a bad point in their time. They're released the next day on no bail. They're released on bond with no bail the next day because of your crazy laws. So why should their videos go anywhere? It's just everybody at a bad point in their life. So why show any of it? They only care because it's being used for money by guys, and it's women that are being filmed. That's the only reason they care. Christine Riviera, the city clerk of Las Cruces, New Mexico, says it's the same story there. In the past 3 years, the clerk's office has been inundated by public records requests, which increased 140% from 2024 to 2025. Rivera believes some of the filers switched between fake names, first using Police Blotter to search for colorful arrests, then filtering to target women. We've been told, she says, that we're on some kind of list for requesters, stating that we're a municipality that is easy to get records from. Inevitably, the footage ends up on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Yes, you're entertainment. These women are entertainment. Welcome to the internet in 2026. But you know what would solve this problem? I've said it 10 times. I'm going to say it 11. Women behaving better. But because women have become so insufferable and so crazy and so neurotic and so out there, and they're enjoying their nights out at the clubs, and they're driving themselves home during it, it's just a lot of content for us. It's great. It's wonderful. I have no problems with this. They say here, someone like the man who uploaded April's arrest, whose page boasts hundreds of similar videos. Well, with him, I exchanged emails with him over the course of a few months. He was courteous, straightforward, and wanted to remain anonymous, a privilege I couldn't help but notice that was not afforded to the subjects of his videos. Well, yes, but you doxing him would actually be a crime. These people getting arrested are committing a crime, thus their information becomes public record. Stop crying about it, fix the women, and then your problem's solved. He told me his channel offers a public service. His videos illustrate the consequences of drunken driving, shoplifting, and other illicit activities. He uploads, as he said, to educate people and deter them from engaging in those activities. Well, you, sir, are making good money. You're entertaining people, and you are doing the Lord's work. Thank you very much. We all appreciate it. We all appreciate your dedication to the cause. Many of his viewers feel the same way. In comments, they discuss the dangers of driving, even mourning lost loved ones. Honestly, observe another, the possibility that your DUI is going to end up on YouTube is another incentive not to drive drunk. Yes. I asked the uploader why the majority of his videos featured women when some 80% of DUIs are committed by men, and he said, I cannot control what others want to watch or what the algorithm ultimately chooses to promote. He compared his videos to police blotters along the gossipy features of local papers. I asked Chief Caggiano about that comparison. He said he doesn't buy it. There's a distinct difference between the two. Say there's a driver and they throw up on themselves, they urinate on themselves. That doesn't show up in the police blotter, but that'll show up on the video. So what? Who cares if this person humiliates themselves when they're in the process of committing a crime? Who cares? If it's going to be that embarrassing and you're throwing up on yourself or you're wetting yourself while you're being recorded, just don't put yourself in that situation. Somewhere along the line, our society starts feeling bad for the perpetrators of bad things. Oh, bad person got caught and was embarrassed. Let's feel bad for the bad person. No, we want to shame the bad person. We want to highlight how bad this person is. We want to embarrass them. I guarantee you, if somebody gets popped for driving while under the influence, yes, it's gonna bother them. They probably will do it again. But if you get viewed 8 million times wetting your pants and throwing up on yourselves or offering a cop some salacious services to get out of a ticket, number one, that'll definitely embarrass you enough that you probably won't do it again in your life. And number two, it lets a lot of other people know what you did so they can keep an eye out for you. If you have a problem with this and you still want police to record and you still want people to be like journalists to be able to get this information, which they do want to get this information, trust me, then the best way to stop it all is improving what women are doing. They say the more humiliating the arrest, of course, the better the content. Yes. Spoiler alert, yes. The most viral videos can be devastating for their subjects, damaging relationships with family and friends, frustrating job searches, and scarring psyches. Subjects have little recourse. Claims of defamation and false light are extremely difficult to prove. Why do you only care when it's women? Seriously, you're going to tell me that a guy getting arrested and the video going out in the public, and maybe he gets arrested, I don't know, for fist fighting or for something else. Now, would they be complaining if it was guys getting arrested and guys being highlighted on feminist channels? No, I don't think so. They only care because it's women. That's really the only reason they care, is it makes women look really bad. That's the whole reason they're throwing a fit about this. Because let's face it, if a criminal gets arrested, is it devastating for him? Yeah. Does it damage his relationships with friends and family? Yes. Does it make it harder for him to find jobs? Yes. Does it maybe make him feel really bad? Yes. So obviously your problem with all of this is it centers around women. Tough shit, deal with it and get over it. It seems that they just go on and on and on about this. They're worried about intentional infliction of emotional distress. Who cares? You broke a law. Maybe don't break laws. Some subjects have complained to channel owners, then been shaken down for a fee. I like that. That's fair. This is a variant on mugshot extortion, a practice in which websites acquire booking photos of recent arrests, post them online, and remove them only when compensated. Ohio attorney Sarah Kollick, who specializes in online takedowns, tells me that if a client of hers received a reasonable offer from an uploader, she'd probably encourage them to take it. You don't want more attention drawn, she says. Most of these clients want it resolved as soon as possible because once it spreads, users are consistently downloading and re-uploading files. April's video is proof. Her arrest has been reposted on Facebook, another 60,000 views, and re-uploaded on a different YouTube channel. I asked April if she's ever thought about fighting the video in court. She said that's not something that's in the cards. On her teacher's salary, there's no way she could afford the legal fees. Well, she's a teacher. Do you know what? You know why this is a public service that this guy that posted her video did? Because number one, I didn't read everything she did, but she was using illicit substances. She was behind the wheel of a car. She said some pretty crazy things to the cops, and she's a teacher. I think this guy's legitimately doing a public service to let people know that if you live in whatever area, April, the teacher, did these crazy things. Wonderful. Keep it going. Keep it going. They say Sean T. Keene, a New Jersey assemblyman, said he's sick of his constituents becoming international celebrities because of a bad night. He has proposed a bill that would prohibit the release of body cam recordings without the approval from the video's subject. Okay, well, what happens in a case where somebody's arrested for illicit substances or being a lady of the night or maybe robbing someplace? Do you think the robber is going to say, yeah, you can release my content? So what happens then if the police have a video recording of somebody that they're looking for that just robbed a store and they can't find him? You can't release the video because the person on the video, so of course they're going to have to put that in there. And before you know it, this is going to get more and more and more muddled and make it even more difficult to figure out what's legal and what's not by adding a bunch of laws in there to basically protect a bunch of drunk Karens. Some officials have explored blurring subjects' faces. The cameras, Chief Caggiano reminds me, are really there to capture the officer's conduct, not the subject's, but advocates point out that a subject's identity might matter too. What happens when a local politician gets special treatment from police? In Ohio, lawmakers are hoping to discourage bulk requests with new footage fees of up to $75 per hour. But that measure risks excluding inquiries from low-income people, precisely those most likely to be harmed by police. Oh, it's beautiful. They're dancing, and I'm not going to keep reading. They're dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing for paragraphs, trying to figure out how they could get around this. And they can't. So far, they can't. And what are they worried about? This whole thing boils down to it makes women look bad. I don't care if it's one night or one person or one anything else. No one started complaining until these guys grabbed women off these blogs and started making money off of it on YouTube. Nobody had problems with the crime channels. Nobody had problems with showing guys getting arrested. No one had problems with thieves or anybody else because mostly they're men. The only time this became a problem was when women got embarrassed for acting a fool. Well, I'm here for it. I'm on the side of this is a public service announcement. This is good for the public. We need to know who these people are. You're protecting men from maybe possibly making a horrible mistake, getting a wife that offered to give a cop a blowy so she could get out of a ticket or something else. This is a public service announcement. I'm sticking to it. And we don't need to give these women special treatment. They wanted the cameras. Now all the cops have cameras, and now they're crying about the cameras. Tough shit. Deal with it like everybody else, and maybe stop embarrassing yourselves. And that way, you won't end up on YouTube's America's Craziest Women Arrests, or whatever the channels are called. You deserve it. Guys, if you like my work, make sure to join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com, or for those of you on YouTube, at least get over to Rumble. The channel is Odd Man Out, because I also do news stories over there. Anyway, come on over, join us. Great community of like-minded guys. You can sign up for free. Doesn't cost you anything. You can check out the forums, check out the topics we're talking about, and you can see the live streams that I've done in the past. And then if you say, hey, you know something, I kind of like this, I dig this, I want to be a part of this community where I can post and share things and join some of the live streams that I do for supporters only, it's $5 a month, which is literally less than a crappy cup of coffee from Starbucks. So come on over, join us today. I think you'll appreciate it. Enjoy the members-only live streams that I do. It's a good time. It's a good community. So come on over, check it out, and you won't regret it.